Hello, in this video I am going to show you how to do recursion. So recursion is when you have a function that calls itself. You can do direct and indirect recursion. Direct is a function that directly calls itself. Indirect, which is what we're going to be doing, is a function that calls another function which calls the previous function that it calls. So the benefit of this is maybe you need to repeat a process again and again, but you don't know how many times you're gonna have to repeat that process. So basically that process could be encapsulated within a function, and depending on how many times you need to repeat it, it could call itself that many times. We're going to use the example of factorial. So what a factorial is, so if we do factorial 3, which is, that's the way you write the exclamation mark 3, it results in 6. So what it is, it's just the number times by the number minus 1 times by that minus 1 till you get to 1, which obviously gives us 6, and that's all factorial is. That's literally it. Okay, so we are, first of all, actually, if you haven't watched the videos on functions or some of the previous ones on variables, all that stuff, make sure you watch them, because I'm going to be using a lot of that code in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have section.data. So we're going to create some constants, and this is going to be a message that we are going to print out once we've calculated it. This is going to say factorial of the number 3 equals, and this is what's going to get printed out. And I'm going to dynamically calculate the message length. Message length is EQU $message, like so. Okay, so next of all, we need to create a variable, and in here we're going to call it fact, short for factorial, res b, and yeah, we can just allocate 1 byte, so 8 bits should suffice for what we need it for. And then in the starting section, this is where it's going to end basically. We are going to say, we're going to move into the bx register 3, we're going to call process factorial. This is a method that we haven't created yet. Let me finish the main body of it, and then I'll create that as well. I'm going to add to the AX 38, and then we're going to move into the factorial variable, or fact, AX basically. So now what we're going to say is move into the EAX, because we are going to print some text out for. Then move into the EBX register 1. So this is for output, and then into the ECX register we are going to move the message. Let's look on the side then, message, and then move into the EDX register the length of the message, so message length that we calculated right here. So now we are going to say int ATH, so we're calling the kernel. We're going to do something very similar to this. Paste that out, and here instead of message len or message, we're going to have to print out the factorial, the result that has been calculated. And apart from that, that's all done. Now we can actually get on to implementing the two methods. So the first one is process factorial, which is called right here. Again, if you don't understand any of this, recommend that you watch the previous videos, because a lot of this is covered in there. And we're going to compare BL with 1. So that's basically what we want to get it down to. So we're going to use a conditional jump of JG. Again, I cover this in conditional jump video, so feel free to check that out. I'm going to say calculate. This is another method I'm going to call, I'm creating in a second. I'm going to move into the AX register 1, and then we're going to return. So in calculate, we're going to decrement BL. So because obviously if we have the number 3, we want it to go down 1 by 1 and then multiply it essentially. So we're going to say call process factorial. So this will call this method again, and if it basically hasn't reached 1 yet, then you will call the calculate, which decreases it by 1. And what we do is we increase BL and we multiply it by BL as well. So we return And now we should be ready to go. Okay, 45. Output integer or int instead of increment. There we go. Factorial, the number 3 is 6, because remember, 3 times by 1 minus it, times by 1 minus that, until you get to 1 is 6. So that is how you create a recursive application, or implement recursion using functions, so you can calculate factorial. Obviously, you can adapt this to any sort of recursive implementation that you need, but it's that simple. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.